So now we'll create another application with a Redux toolkit. So you will get better understanding of how to use it in another application. So let's create a widget application and we can call it product listing. React and JavaScript. Now let's do npm install. So it will install all the packages. And I will remove the unnecessary code. I will write boilerplate code here. Let me remove this. Now I will copy some JSON files. So I have these files which I have created. You can get this from the public folder. So inside public, I will paste these files. And let's install the packages. We need add Redux.js / toolkit as well as React Redux. And also install Axios so we can make API call. Now let's run the application. So if you see the categories.json, I have list of categories and there are list of products. So for each of the category, I have different products. So based on this particular category, we'll display the list of products along with the image. So we'll have a drop down where we'll display all the categories. And when user selects one of the category, we'll fetch all the related products for that matching category and we'll display that particular image as well as all the categories and their respective product name. So let's start this. So inside SRC, create Redux folder. Here I will create features and I will create categories slice.js. Let's import from add Redux.js / toolkit. Here we can import create slice. I can say category slice, create slice. Press control space and here we can give name of categories. And we need to define initial state. So in this case, we'll having loading functionality. So once we select a particular category, we will having loading functionality initially also while the categories are loading. So I will add loading here. Is loading will be false. Error MST will be empty. And we'll have categories. So let's name it again data. Now the next is reducers. So instead of reducers, we'll use extra reducer. So let's write that create async from code. So I can say get categories, create. So we have already seen all of this. So we are just going through how to create that application. Async from. And here I will say categories. And we'll write async function. So we need to write async function. And here we need to return a promise. So to declare a function to which returns a promise, we need to declare it as async. Now let's write the API call. You can say await axios dot get. Now our data is inside the public folder. So categories.json. So we can directly just say /categories.json. So when you put something in public folder, you can directly access using /. So this will give you the list of categories and we can return this data as it is. So as we are inside create async thunk, we don't need to add try catch here. Now here we'll use extra reducers. And for this, we'll have builder. Let's say builder dot add keys. Now get categories dot pending. While the API call is going on, so initially when we send that API, it will be in pending state. State and action. Now what we want to do. So we set is loading to true. Then we'll set error message to empty and We don't need to set any other thing. Now let's duplicate this. So here we'll have dot fulfilled. Now we have this action is loading. Now it will become false. We don't need to set error message. And state dot data equal to whatever we are sending, action dot payload. And let's copy this. So it will be rejected. Now during rejection is loading false. Error message will be error while getting list of categories. We don't need to set data here. So this is all our slice. Now we can get reducer. So we can say export default category slice dot reducer. So here we are using extra reducer, so we don't need to get the actions because we will be calling directly this function. So let's export this also. Now we have this reducer. Let's create a store. So inside Redux, here create store slash store dot reduce. Now let's import from add Redux toolkit. We'll import configure store. Configure store, and here press control space. What we need reducer. For this reducer, we can name it categories, and we can add that categories reducer, so which we are exporting. So here we can say import dot slash, we can say categories reducer from category slice. So as this is a default export, so this is a default export. So while importing, you can give any name, but as this is a reducer, we are giving reducer name. Now this is the categories reducer, and we can export this default store. Now what we need to do, so we have these categories, slice is created, store is there. Now we can wrap our entire application in provider from React Redux, and we can provide the store. Now our entire application is connected to Redux store. So now to inside the app component, we need to get the list of those particular categories. So we can use selector hook from React Redux, and will return state. So what is state? So this is our state. So state has categories property. So here we can say state dot categories, and what it contains, what it returns. So categories reducer. So this category slice, which is categories reducer, we have these as the initial state. So we'll get is loading, error message, and data. So we can destructure that MSG and data. Now let's print that data and see if it's coming. So let's console.log. Now let's refresh the page. If I refresh, you can see we are not getting that data. Let's see in the Redux store. So we need to dispatch that action. So we are not dispatching action. So whenever the Redux store gets updated, then only you will get that data. So here inside the use effect hook, during mount, we need to dispatch. So let's get the dispatch first. Use dispatch. And here we can get categories, so which is from slice. So if you do command click or control click, you can go to this particular function. So this is we need to call, and based on the promise state, it will automatically execute either this pending, fulfilled, or rejected code. Now we are dispatching, and if you refresh now, you can see we get categories pending and fulfilled. So during fulfill, you can see we get all the data that we have inside the category. Inside console, you can see this is the data that we are getting. So we are currently getting the list of categories. Now let's display this categories in a select dropdown. So inside here, let's give some name, products listing, and here we can give data. So let's rename this data to categories. So it's easy to understand. For each of the category. So let's declare this select dropdown. For this select dropdown, what we'll have option, select category, one option with the value of empty. And now we'll have categories map. So we can also directly return this in a long form if you want, or you can implicitly return. Now this is select, we have one option and we'll iterate over that and we'll add other options. So option will be category. So if you see category dot name, so each of this is array of objects. Each object has a name property. So here we'll use category dot name. You can also destructure name directly and you can display it here. And as we are using map method, we need to add a key. Don't forget that. And name is unique, so you'll use name as the key. So you can see product listing and we see this list of categories. Correct. Now let's style this. So I can give some class name, title, and inside CSS, text align center. Is better. Now in this also we can display. So let's add this inside a div and we can say main content. Display flag, justify content center, align items center. So it will be in the center. So now we have this category. Let's give some label here. Select your category. Let's display this drop down on a new line. So if you see, this is main content. We have made it display flex. So let's make that flex direction column. So it will be vertical. Let's give some spacing for this select drop down. We'll directly select margin top 1 area. Let's give 10 pixels. That is better. Now, once we select this, I want to display those products or related to that particular selected category. So first is I need to get this value and I need to get the list of products. So let's go to category now. If you see here, we are making API call for getting categories. Now we want to write API call to get the list of products. And we'll also having some extra reducer. So instead of adding it here, let's create another slice. So I'll just copy paste here and I will name it product slice. And I will rename this to product slice. Now here, instead of categories.json, it will be products.json. So that's the file name we have given inside public folder, products.json. Now let's rename this to get products. Now this is another slice. So inside the store, we need to use products reducer from product slice. Now let's name it products reducer. Now we have store with the object of two properties, category and products. So let's see. If you see Redux store, you can see state has two properties now, category and products. So now let's fetch the products based on the category. So let's go to this product slice. So here, instead of fetching all the products, we need to get that selected category. So here, whenever I select this drop down, so I will add on change ender here. So whenever here you will get that value. So I can dispatch what I want to dispatch. I want to dispatch this particular function. So I'll say get products And for this, I need to get that selected category. So you can get that selected category using event.target.value. So for this get products, I'm passing that selected value. So that selected value you will get in args. So this is the first argument, and second is the thunk API, which we have already seen. So instead of calling args, you can also call category because that is the only single argument you are passing. Now here we have all the products. Now here from the products, I want to filter all the products with matching category. So I can say products equal to data. So what this products.json will return? So you have this array of objects. So inside this, I want to match for this particular category. So I will use filter because we want multiple results. So if you see for particular category pizza, we have multiple products. So I will use filter instead of find. So for each of the product, if product dot category is equal to the categories that we are passing, this category. If it equal, then you will get those list of products and these products will return. So if there are no matching products, filter will return empty array. So filter always returns array. So now we don't need this thunk API and we are calling this get products. So here now instead of state.categories, here we have products. So let's add one more use selector state.products. And products also has is loading, error message, and data. So you can see we have duplicate variables now defined. So here I will rename it to products. And here for this loading, I will say product is product loading. So you cannot have two variables with same name. When you destructure, it will create a new variable with that particular name. So we have multiple variables. So here I will rename product error MSG. And here I will say category is category loading. Here will be category error MSG. So now let's print the products that we are getting and we can see if we are correctly getting the products. So let me refresh and I will filter by products. Now when I select pizza category, you can see we are getting all the categories with only pizza. So we are correctly getting 11. Now if I select biryani, you can see now you have only 3 products with the matching biryani. Now when I select breakfast, you can see you get 4 products this matching breakfast. So initially you were having biryani, now we have breakfast. Now let's select burger. You can see for we have 6 categories with the 6 products with those matching categories. So we are correctly getting now just display. We need to display this along with the image. So what we need to display? We need to display this image. So this is actual image URL. So if I copy this and paste it here, you can see this is actual image URL. And below that image, we can display that name of the particular product. So let's see, let's create another component. Close all of this. SRC, let's create components. And here we'll create products.js. So here I will send all those products and we'll display those matching products. So we'll have products.map. For individual product, we don't want index. So how you want to display? Let's display the div. And here we'll display div again. So we need to return. Don't forget, we have opened this curly bracket. So you need to return, otherwise it will not get displayed. Now inside it, we will display image. src equal to product dot. So if you see product dot image, we can also destructure directly image and name. So you want name of the product. So here I can say image. and I will give alt with the name. Now we have this image and I can display that particular name, so which is heading. And we can mark this as a products list. And here we can say product. So inside CSS, products list. This will be display flex, justify content center, align item center. So this will be list of products. Let's use some gap, one rem, and let's also give margin top, one rem. Now let's refresh. First, we need to use these products. So inside app, after this select, we can use products component. Let's import this component. And for this, we need to pass the products. So these products we are getting from here. So let's refresh. So we have given it should be JSX, not JS. So with JS requires every JSX file to have .jsx extension. Now, once you make any change of file name, you need to restart this. Now you can see when I select pizza, you can see the image is getting displayed, but images are too big. Also, we need to style this in the center. So let's say max width 800 pixel. And inside this product, we have image. So let's give class name of image. So product list, product, and image. Let's say width 250, height 150 pixel. If I select this, you can see it's going out. We need to give flex wrap. So once it's outside this, it will wrap on the next line. You can see now it's displaying correct. Let's make this image fit correct. So it's the object fit cover. So it will look nice, and we can make it 150 pixel width. So this is better. Let's give width of 100%. And here, let's do for each of the products list dot product, we can give width 20. Now you can see it's displaying. We are also missing key here. So let's give key equal to name. So if you see this is going down, so for this product list, we need to remove these align items. So let's go here, product list, align items, center I will remove. Now let's also make that text smaller. So we can say H5, let's say H4. Now this is better. And why there is any margin here? This is H4. So that's why there is margin. So let's give some class product name. So inside product, we have product. For this, we can give margin 0, padding 0. Now there is no extra space. So you can see in the console, we don't have any error. And if we refresh, you can see we are able to see this. So let's add some margin here for this particular entire main content. Margin top bottom, let's say 2 rem, left right 0. So if I refresh, now you can see there is a margin, desserts, burgers. Now if you select pizza, you can see you correctly see the list of pizza. We can also make this rounded to look nice for the image. You can say box border radius, let's say 10 pixels, so it will be better. Now let's select another category. You can see biryani is displaying correctly. Breakfast, we have this breakfast, dessert. We can also display loading, so we are not display loading. So while the API call is going on, we need to display loading here. So here for the categories, we already have each category loading. So here we can display, let's move it here, each category loading, then display loading. Let's give class of loading. Text align center, letter spacing 1 pixel, font size 20. So if I refresh, you can see loading is displayed for a bit. So let me slow it down. In the network, you can make slow network, slow purge. So if I refresh, you can see loading is getting displayed. So while the data is getting loaded, we see that loading. While the data is getting loaded, we see that loading. Now, when I click on this, select any category, we also need to show loading. So if the data is coming from the backend, it might take some time, and we, instead of showing blank screen, we should display again loading. So here we have this. We also need to display error message. So let's see, or we can first do the loading, product loading. So this is for category loading, and let's display product loading here itself. Yeah. So during initially you will see loading. When I select any product, you can see loading is displayed. This, let's move this below before the products. So after this drop down. So when I select this, you can see loading is displayed here. And then we get that data. So now this is a better experience. And now let's see. Now let's see how to work on the error message. So we also need to display error message. So let's say category slice. Here there is error. So if I throw some error, so now when you throw error, your rejected action handler will execute, and here this code will get executed. So if I refresh, let's see what's happening. Let me remove this filter. Go to Redux. You can see rejected is getting called here. And for categories, we have this error message. So let's display that category error message. So before loading, after loading, you can display error message. So it will be error message. And it will be dot error msg. It's exactly same, only the color will be different. And yeah. So you can see error while getting list of categories. So when we load, we have that error, so we see this list of categories. So we are currently getting this error. Now, what will happen if the URL is wrong? So if I refresh, you can see URL is wrong here, but we are not getting any error. Why? What is happening? So we are fetching from the public folder. This is not the backend. So we are not actually fetching from the backend API. So what data we are getting? We are getting this document. So if we see categories.json, what we get in response, we get the entire HTML content because this is HTML code. So React is the static HTML we have added. This main.jsx gets created. So instead of getting that JSON file, we are getting this particular content. So now, how can we display error message in this case? So as we have already seen previously, we can get that response status code. So here you can see status code is 304 modified. Let's print the response dot data, and we can print the response. and we can see what it gives. So if you see, response has a status property of 200, and it also has content type. So header dot content type. So if you see, content type is now text HTML. It should be JSON, right? So if I correctly type this URL and if I refresh, you can see response has headers dot content type is now application JSON, which is correct, which we want. So we can check that content type. So here, if response dot headers, so now this content type, there is a hyphen here, so you cannot say content type here. So you need to use this bracket syntax. You can select this content type. So headers of content type is equal to application JSON, then it's fine. Application JSON, then it's fine. You just return this. Otherwise, we have already seen you can reject this. So here, first is args and second is thunk API. So for thunk API, you have dot reject with value. So make sure you return, otherwise it will not be returned. So now reject with value, here you can say you just reject. So we have already showing error message here. So once you reject, that code will get executed. So now if I refresh, you can see now you correctly get this error while getting list of category. So even though the response is, we are getting this response, now why this error message is coming? Content application type response dot data. So we are getting this data, so it should not have that error. So let's print that. I think that response was in small case for the header. Headers, yeah, it's small case. So let's use the small case content type. Content type. If I refresh, now you can see there is no error. If I select, we correctly get that data. But if the URL is wrong, and if I refresh, you can see we get this error. So we are successfully able to display different error message. And as we don't have args, if you have some unused variable, you can just name it underscore. Underscore means there is no variable. You cannot skip this. You have to provide that argument, because that's the order you will get that data. So you cannot say null here. So you need to give the some value. So it's common convention to name it underscore if you don't want to create any variable. Now let me remove this. And if I refresh, now we have this error. So we correctly get this. So if you see the Redux store, here we have rejected. So initially pending, and now we have rejected because this is the wrong URL. Now let's refresh. You can see this is working. Now we are getting the list of category and there is no error. And here also we are correctly getting the full fix. Now if I throw error here, refresh, you still get that error. So this is working fine. So that's how we are successfully able to get the list of products. We can also increase the width of these particular images, so it will look better. So let's say 25% width. Yeah, this looks better. So for pizza, you have list of products. Biryani is also 3 products. Breakfast, dessert, burger. So you can see we correctly get all the data. Sandwiches. Perfect. So let me revise. So we have created store. So here we have multiple reducers, categories reducer and products reducer. So inside categories reducer, we are using create async sum to make that API call. So we are making API call to categories.json, and depending on the response type. So as we are making API call to slash categories, which is in public folder, we have added this code. If you are making API call to the actual API URL, then you don't need to check this condition. You add try catch, and there you can throw this error. So now we have created this slice with initial loading error message data. And as we are using this create async thunk, we need to use this extra reducer, not reducers. So we have reducers also, which is if you want to manually dispatch any action. So here we have extra reducers, and based on that, we are adding different code. Now this is all about categories, and we have this product category, products reducer. So let's go to products reducer. It's exactly same now, but we are passing the category. So inside here, once we select the option, we are dispatching action to get the list of products. And for this, we are passing the selected user value. So whatever value user selects, that we are passing, and for this particular function. So you get this value as args, which is only value. So we are naming it category, and that we are filtering out. So this will give you all the products that we have, and we are filtering out only the categories products which are matching with that category, and that products we are returning. So whenever you return something from here, corresponding this particular fulfilled will get executed. So depending on the promise state, so when you first make API call, it will be in pending state. So at that time, this code will execute. Once the promise is resolved, this code will execute, and you will get this action.payload. So whatever you return from this function will go as action.payload. Even if there is error, in that case, whatever error you are throwing using that thumb API.reject, you will get that in action.payload if you are using error is getting thrown. So here we are not using action, so you can remove that. So during rejection, if there is any failure during the API call, this code will execute and it will set that state. And we are using use selector hook inside app. Here we are using use selectors. So here for products also, we are not showing error message. Products. Let's So you can see when I select this, we are not showing error message for product. So let's do that, because you can see this is grayed out. That means we are not using this variable. So just like products loading, we can say products error message. So now you can see you get error while getting list of categories. So it should be products. So where is this? This is product. So error while getting list of products. Try again later. When I select this, we see error while getting list of products. Perfect. And let me make this correct. Then you correctly get that data. And during this categories slice, if there is any error, you see this error while getting list of categories, and you don't have any category. So this is now working as expected. So that's how you can use Redux Toolkit. So this is Redux Toolkit makes it really easy to write the code. You don't have to create separate actions, separate constant, separate reducer. Everything is inside the slice. And if you are making API call, use create async thumb and use extra reducers. If you are not making API call, you just want to handle some action, then use the reducers property to update these particular states. And you just use selector hook. So wherever you are using use selector hook and the Redux store gets updated, that component will re-render to update the UI based on what value you are using. So that's it for this video. I hope you learned something new, how to create products, uh, how to create application using Redux Toolkit and also Core. So see you in the next webinar.